When wealth is about to enter your life, it does not announce itself with trumpets or banners. It comes quietly, disguised in trials, wrapped in challenges, hidden behind the veil of ordinary days. The greatest secret most people never discover is that riches do not first appear in your pocket, they first appear in your thoughts. Wealth is born in the unseen before it ever reveals itself in the seen. A man who walks with an empty pocket but a rich imagination is wealthier than the one who clutches gold with a poor vision. For the imagination plants the seed that reality must follow. The house you dream of, the business you desire, the freedom you crave, these are not fantasies. They are blueprints. And the moment you begin to think of them with intensity, with clarity, and with persistence, you have already set into motion the unseen laws of creation that must deliver them to you. Every empire began in the silent thought of someone who dared to believe. Every fortune started as a picture in the mind of someone who was not afraid to desire. The rich man who built towers in the world first built them in the chambers of his imagination. The woman who rose from nothing to influence nations first rose in her thoughts before she rose in her reality. If you think wealth is born in banks, you have missed the truth. Wealth is born in the human mind, and the mind is the greatest bank in the world, for it holds no limit, no restriction, no boundaries except those you impose upon it. But here is the paradox. The moment wealth is nearest, life will push you the hardest. The closer you are to breakthrough, the more resistance you will feel. This is a universal law that the ordinary never understand. Just before the seed breaks into a tree, it must endure the greatest pressure. Just before the dawn, the night is darkest. And just before wealth is released, you will face the fiercest storms. Many give up at this point, not realizing that they stand at the edge of their destiny. They surrender when life is only testing their strength, when fortune is knocking but waiting to see if they truly deserve it. Life does not hand riches to the weak in spirit. It does not pour abundance into the hands of those who complain, who fear, who doubt. It rewards the man who keeps going when every voice says quit. It crowns the woman who refuses to let circumstances write her story. When you feel the pressure, when you feel the resistance, rejoice. It is the sign that wealth is near. It is the final test. Life is asking you, will you persist or will you surrender? Think of it. How many dreams have died in the moment before they were born? How many fortunes were abandoned when they were just around the corner? Too many stopped digging inches before striking gold. Too many abandoned the vision when the universe was only moments away from delivering it. Do not be one of them. Hold on, even when it hurts. Persist, even when it feels useless, because the law is certain. The harder the struggle, the closer the reward. Now let me tell you this truth. You already carry the key to riches within you. Your thoughts are seeds. Your mind is the soil. Your persistence is the water. And your faith is the sunlight. When you think abundantly, when you imagine vividly, when you act persistently, the soil of life cannot refuse your harvest. It must yield. It must bring forth. For no seed planted with desire and nourished with persistence has ever failed to grow. The only ones who fail are those who stop planting, who stop watering, who give up on their own field before the crop emerges. Wealth will never come to the one who waits passively, hoping it will fall into his lap. Wealth comes to the one who has already created it in his mind so clearly, so passionately, that reality has no choice but to follow. When you see yourself living in abundance, when you speak as if it is already yours, when you think in the rhythm of prosperity, you magnetize it. You call it forth. A burning desire is the seed of all riches. No man has ever built an empire. No woman has ever changed destiny without first being consumed by a desire so intense that it refused to let them sleep in peace. Desire is the fire that melts impossibility. It is the inner flame that whispers, "You will not stop until it is done." Without it, you may drift through life, aimless, blown by every wind of circumstance. With it, you become unstoppable, a force that bends reality to your will. Every achievement that stands today, every monument of wealth, every legacy carved in the world's memory began as a single spark of desire. Think of the inventors who revolutionized the world. the leaders who transformed nations, the entrepreneurs who created fortunes. Before any of their dreams took form, before their names were known, they had nothing but one thing, a burning desire that burned hotter than fear, hotter than doubt, hotter than the voices that tried to stop them. Desire is not a wish. Wishes float in the air, light and fragile, broken by the smallest breeze of failure. A burning desire is different. It is a hunger, a necessity, as urgent as the need for air when you are drowning. When you desire something with that intensity, you will not consider failure as permanent. You will not see obstacles as endings. You will see them as detours, as tests, as challenges that must bow before your persistence. Many people live with faint wishes. They say, "I'd like to be rich. I'd like to be successful. I'd like to live freely." But liking is not enough. The universe does not respond to weak desires. It responds only to those who command, "I will have it. I must have it. Nothing can deny me." When your mind reaches that level of determination, unseen forces begin to move. Doors open, opportunities align, and what seemed impossible suddenly becomes achievable. Now let us move to Anat. Her truth, faith. If desire is the seed of riches, then faith is the water and sunlight that makes that seed grow. Without faith, desire dies. Without faith, the vision withers. But with faith, even the impossible becomes a stepping stone. Faith is not mere hope, it is certainty. It is the ability to see what is not yet visible, to believe what has not yet manifested, and to stand firm even when everything around you says otherwise. Look closely at those who have created wealth that endured. You will find faith pulsing in their spirit. They believed in their vision before anyone else did. They trusted in their dream when others mocked them, when others doubted them, when circumstances screamed failure. They lived in the certainty that what they imagined was already theirs, and that unshakable faith pulled it from the unseen into the seen. Faith is the invisible force that turns dreams into wealth. A person may have knowledge, resources, and connections, but without faith he collapses at the first sign of trouble. Another person may begin with nothing but faith, and he will rise above every obstacle. Why? Because faith gives power to action. Faith gives endurance to persistence. Faith fuels creativity when solutions seem absent. Faith transforms delay into patience and failure into fuel. When you walk in faith, you are no longer a slave to fear. You may feel the presence of fear, but faith commands you forward anyway. When you believe, you no longer wait passively. You act with confidence, knowing that every step you take is guided toward your destiny. This is the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary. The ordinary waits for proof, while the extraordinary moves with faith. Think of the greatest fortunes of the world. They were not built by those who saw guarantees. They were built by those who believed in what only their inner eye could see. They invested when others laughed. They built when others mocked. They sacrificed when others were content. Every setback hides the seed of equal or greater advantage. This truth is not easy to see when you're in the middle of failure. When you lose money, when your plans collapse, when your efforts seem wasted, it feels like the end. Most people stop there. They curse life, they surrender their dreams, they allow disappointment to bury their desire. But the rare ones, the ones who rise to wealth and greatness, look deeper. They understand that every defeat carries within it the seed of something greater, a hidden opportunity waiting to be discovered by the persistent mind. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is a disguise. It is a teacher that comes dressed as pain. It whispers to you, there is another way. There is a stronger version of you waiting to be born. If you listen, if you search, you will find the lesson hidden in the loss. And that lesson will give you power far beyond what you had before. The man who fails and learns becomes invincible because he carries knowledge the untouched will never possess. Think of every successful person history has ever celebrated. None of them escaped failure. All of them walked through darkness. They lost money, they faced rejection, they stumbled when others mocked them. Yet in those very defeats, they discovered keys to greater victories. The business that collapses teaches resilience. The betrayal of a partner sharpens wisdom. The loss of wealth awakens hunger that builds a greater fortune. If you can train your mind to see beyond the pain, you will uncover the treasure hidden in the ashes of failure. But here is the danger. Most never look. Most stop at the surface. They see the ashes and assume the fire has destroyed everything. They never realize that within those ashes lies the spark of a greater flame. That is why persistence is so rare. That is why wealth is reserved for those who can endure. It is not that fortune avoids others. It is that they abandoned it before discovering its disguise. And this leads to another powerful truth. The mind is a magnet, attracting riches to its dominant thought. What you dwell upon most, you draw toward yourself. If your mind constantly plays with images of defeat, if you rehearse your pain, if you keep speaking lack, then lack will continue to follow you. But if your mind burns with the picture of abundance, if you imagine wealth, if you believe in opportunity, then opportunities begin to appear. They were always there, but your magnet was too weak to see them. You cannot attract riches while thinking in poverty. You cannot draw abundance while clinging to scarcity. Life reflects what you think most about. When you tell yourself that opportunities are gone, you blind yourself to the ones at your feet. When you convince yourself you are unlucky, you miss the doors opening before your very eyes. But when you carry wealth in your mind, the world reshapes itself to match your picture. People call it coincidence. They call it luck. It is not luck. It is the law of the mind. The mind does not discriminate. It will magnetize lack as easily as it will magnetize abundance. It will pull problems just as powerfully as it will pull opportunities. That is why guarding your thoughts is the highest discipline of wealth. The poor allow their minds to wander into fear and complaint, and so they multiply the very things they hate. The rich discipline their minds to dwell on success, and so they multiply the very things they desire. Imagine your mind as a broadcasting tower, sending signals every moment. Those signals go out into the unseen and draw back to you people, circumstances, and conditions that match them. If your signal is fear, you will attract things that feed your fear. If your signal is faith and abundance, you will attract things that build your wheel. This is not theory. It is law. It works whether you believe it or not. The difference is simple. Those who understand it use it for riches. Those who ignore it remain in lack. Decision is the master key. Every fortune, every empire, every destiny ever shaped began with a single moment of decision. It is not talent, it is not luck, it is not resources that separate the wealthy from the ordinary. It is the ability to decide with certainty and to stand by that decision until reality itself bends. The weak drift through life in indecision, waiting for conditions to be perfect, waiting for guarantees that never arrive. They hesitate, they delay, they doubt, and in that hesitation, opportunity slips away. The strong, however, make a decision and move. They may not have all the answers, they may not see the full path, but once they decide, the universe begins to align in their favor. Indecision is a thief. It robs you of time. It drains your confidence. It steals your future. How many lives have been wasted in hesitation? How many fortunes died in the mind of a man who said, maybe tomorrow? Wealth does not wait for the hesitant. It answers only to those who dare to decide. The world makes way for the man or woman who knows what they want and refuses to waver. Decision has a power that fear cannot match. The moment you decide, you kill doubt. The moment you decide, you silence hesitation. And in that moment, you step into authority over your life. The man who says, I will be rich, and I will not stop until I am, already possesses more power than one who says, I hope, I wish, I'll try. Hope is weak. Decision is final. It is the stamp of certainty that no obstacle can erase, and once a decision is made, persistence becomes its servant. Persistence breaks down all resistance. This is the second great law that carries every decision to fulfillment. A decision without persistence is like a seed without water. It dries up, it dies, it bears no fruit. But a decision held with persistence will tear down the walls that stand in its way. Life may rest is to at first. Doors may close, people may mock, failures may come. But persistence is the hammer that strikes again and again until the wall crumbles. The ordinary give up when resistance comes. They mistake delay for denial. They think rejection means the dream is impossible. But the extraordinary know the truth. Resistance is only temporary. No wall can stand against the hammer that never stops striking. No failure can withstand the spirit that refuses to quit. Wealth is not for the first attempt, it is for the last attempt, the one that breaks through because it never gave up. Persistence is not glamorous. It is not celebrated in the moment. It is long nights, endless effort, silent battles with doubt. But persistence is also the secret no one can take from you. Others may be smarter, others may have more resources, but if you persist longer than them, you will win what they abandon. You will inherit the victories they left on the table because they grew tired. Combine decision with persistence and you create an unstoppable force. Decision gives you the direction. Persistence ensures you reach the destination. Decision is the spark. Persistence is the flame that refuses to go out. Decision makes you begin. Persistence guarantees you finish. Together, they form the engine of all wealth, all power, all success. Think of the gold miners who dug for months and years, breaking rock, sweating in the earth. Many gave up inches from striking gold. They walked away with empty hands while another came, picked up where they left off, and found the treasure. What was the difference? Not luck, not fate. It was persistence. The gold did not move. The opportunity was there all along. It was simply claimed by the one who refused to stop. Wealth will test your decision. It will ask you, do you truly want this? Will you stand when it gets hard? Will you continue when the word Aldi says, quit? And only persistence answers those questions. Only persistence proves your decision is real. Words mean nothing without persistence. Desires mean nothing without persistence.